What's up, guys? My name's Jason. I play in a band called Cherub, and welcome to our stage. This is our rig that we like to tour around with whenever we get a chance. This is our full production bus tour rig, as opposed to our fly rig that we take out on planes every once in a while. But we like to try to tour with a little bit of everything. We run our own monitors on stage. We run our own playback on stage. We're doing our own processing on stage in addition to performing as well. We try to keep things in our hands as much as possible. Playing guitar, singing songs, playing some drums. We try to make it interesting and, give ourselves opportunities to fall on our face because it's rock and roll, right? Like I mentioned, here in Cherub, we play guitars. We're actually on stage playing instruments, even though it's electronic music. And we love our collection of guitars here. Over the years, we've played a lot of different guitars, had some made for us. We've gone through, different companies that we've fallen in love with. Recently, we've fallen in love with Sir guitars, Tom Anderson guitars, and Music Man basses. Just through playing, and touring, these are the guitars that can really keep up with us and what we're trying to do. We tend to like wild paint jobs. This is one of Jordan's favorite guitars, his metallic swirl serve shred machine. So as far as a guitar rundown, for all of our 6-string guitars, it's pretty generic and pretty standard. We rock Ernie Ball slinky strings, we rock 10s, we rock them in standard tuning. We really like a nice trem system on there, but nothing like a crazy Floyd Rose or anything like that. We pretty much run our settings dimed all the time. There's one guitar that Jordan even has his pickup selector taken out of. It's really simple in the tone department coming from the guitars. We do a lot of our tone shaping and whatnot in the pedalboard realm. Yeah, this is Jordan's go-to guitar on stage. Didn't do anything crazy like swapping the pickups or anything like that. It is a Sir, so it's a nice guitar to start with. But we rock the wireless on there. We got the Shure system that's built into the rack. I'll take you through the rest of Jordan's guitars first, though. This is another Tom Anderson that we just got back. Our friend Allison Ford, she does a bunch of the artwork on our guitars. She's also done a bunch of albums for us. She's designed some merch for us. She did this wicked flat black finish on this one with the glossy Raven Babes. So it's, again, nothing crazy in the electronic department. Pretty standard Tom Anderson. But these are just great, super solid guitars that we love. This is Jordan's Tom Anderson that we did mod out a little bit. I mentioned it before. We took out the pickguard or the pickup selector, and we went for just the neck pickup. We actually reached out to Tom Anderson to have them, I say build this pickguard. They pretty much just cut out one less hole, but they did. They built this, wired it up, sent it out to us. So is a bit of a custom build. This was one of the first guitars that Allison painted for us. It's called Gush. It's one of my favorites, actually. And we did a whole line of merch based around this design. It's really wild. It's cool to be able to collaborate with your friends and get weird results like this. She's painted a couple more of my guitars as well. I play Tom Anderson Ravens, so this is my watermelon guitar. I'm a big fan of watermelon, so I don't even have a back plate on this guy. But yeah, again, pretty standard. It's got P90s in here. I believe these are coil taps. I think they're stacked P90s. It shows how much I know about the instrument I'm playing. I rock it dimed, and I keep my settings like this. So whether I'm tapping or not tapping, I don't actually know. but this is the tone that I prefer. I'm pretty sure that I'm rocking this neck pickup untapped. Yeah. This is one of my favorite guitars though. So listen. This is my favorite one that Allison did for us. Again, Tom Anderson Raven. A little bit of a different set of P90s in here, but P90s again stacked with the taps. Nice trem, locking tuners. But the wild thing about this one is this whole paint job is done in pen and ink. So it's each one of these dots is laid on by hand in pen, and you can even see some of the like Sharpie strokes through here if you really get in there on the finish. But then it's a full proper, I guess it's an automotive finish that she uses on here. I'm not exactly sure how she's finished it. She did a lot of research into what she was doing and building spray booths and all this crazy stuff, but this finish has held up on the road for years now at this point. And it's got all these neat inside jokes, you know, between us and all of our friends, and it's just, it makes for a really cool special instrument to play on stage. Got my little sad mermaid babe. Got the pizza moon. Got the ghost playing darts. Get hard or go home. All sorts of good wholesome messages on my guitar. So then going into the basses. I personally play guitar and bass on stage, so we keep some basses out on the road with us. I used to be playing these guys. Music Man Stingray 5s with the dual humbuckers. I take them straight to the middle of the mall to get the pick guard airbrushed. I think I got a number 13 with a number 22 Sky on this one. And I probably got like a number, who knows, I just pick off the wall at the t-shirt shop in the middle of the mall. They try to tell me, they're like, no, we can't do that, it'll chip off, and it's fine. The more it chips, the more character it gets, but these have held up for years too. And I really fell in love with the Music Man basses just because of the neck profile. Like right up here on the 5 strings, I don't feel like I'm playing on a surfboard. Some of those 5 strings, they feel like you're just like, you know, trying to dance across the whole neck. This actually is nice and comfortable. This is the bass that I've been playing on the past 2 tours. This is the 2018 Music Man Stingray 5, and the difference between the, like, I guess early 2000s ones and now this 2018, it's night and day. This one is so much lighter. They updated the electronics to 18-volt electronics, and it has that much more headroom and clarity. It's just, I don't know. I love it. I picked it up because I was like, ooh, it sparkles. That's wonderful, you know? But once I actually started playing it, it really feels good in the hands, you know? It feels actually a lot better on my shoulder too. I'm not breaking my back playing this thing all the time. Music Mans are already pretty light, but this one is, it's awesome. Feels good, you know? So yeah, now we're over here in Jordan's world. This is wonderfully convenient. I still have the pedals labeled from when I put this board back together before tour. It's a really simple signal chain that we have on both of the boards, or all of our boards. We go straight from these Shure wireless packs. We go into our rack over there. We come back over here to the pedal board, and underneath the pedal boards we have these radial reamp boxes in here. And then that is what's converting, you know, from mic to a line signal. And then we just go straight through. It goes, tuner, this multi-overtone pedal that gives a lot of rich, high-end harmonics, and it's almost like a harmonist type situation, but it's more just like a synthy tone. Then straight into his talk box, that's probably one of his most used pedals and one of the characteristic sounds of the band. It's It's actually funny. Jordan bought a talk box randomly, just on a whim, before going into the first recording sessions for Man of the Hour, and it's ended up becoming very much a staple part of the band. We're a big fan of doing vocal manipulation, and Jordan kind of singing from different characters and different voices, and this has been one of the voices that he's really fallen in love with, and the way he can rip guitar and still sing at the same time, it's just a cool vibe, and it allows us to pay homage to Roger Troutman, one of our faves. But then going on from here, from the talk box, everything post talk box is just guitar signal. So we have this wonderful marijuana fuzz pedal, the Grim Reefer. We got the Angry Driver. We go into a Bit Commander. He doesn't use this one that much. There's a phaser, and this phaser, the rate is connected to a nice expression pedal. Where do we go from here? Space Echo. He uses this a lot. These old school choruses we absolutely fallen in love with. They're just super lush and rich. And then a little amp emulator at the very end, just to kind of give it a little more punch. A lot of the time we'll actually play without amps. We just go all direct sound. So this gives it a little bit more of a natural tone. And then on the way out, we got the DI built in again here. And we have it, kind of jerry-rigged up to this input-output section. Most of the time we're doing things DI. All of our monitors are just the DI sound and everything. But we do have it split back to the amp back there as well. Jordan's got a Fender Reverb. Now we'll move over to my side of the stage. Welcome to my side of the stage now. I've got a little bit of a spaceship situation going on over here. As far as my guitar, or my guitar and bass pedals, I've got my guitar pedal board here, got my bass pedal board here. I actually have another little on-off bypass switch for my vocal effects. I'll start you on the guitars. I have the same sort of input-output situation as Jordan's board, with the reamp box and then the built-in DI underneath the board. Mine's a little bit more temperamental, so I'm not going to start flipping them over, otherwise I'll start having audio gremlins chasing me all the way through the show. But I go into my board, straight from the reamp I go into volume pedal, and this is actually probably one of my most used pedals. I think volume pedals are completely underrated, but I absolutely love them. It's completely passive, it doesn't need power, there's nothing fancy about it, but the things that you can do with volume pedal and the way you can get that to interact with other effects and get things to swell in and out, especially when you do it at the front of your chain as opposed to the end of your chain like a lot of people do, you can get a lot of cool effects going on. Tuner is straight off of the volume pedal, so it's always on. Nothing really that fancy there. I think, let me think about this for a second. I go from the tuner into my whammy ricochet pedal. It's like a little miniature whammy pedal. I don't do that much crazy expression with it, but I do. Let's see if this looks on. Some of that like 2-octave up pitch bendy kind of. I really love that pedal for this, and you can set the rise and the swell so you can do whatever you want with it. I just have it as that quick, like, that momentary, you can dive bomb this way or you can just squeal like crazy that way. Then I go straight from the ricochet into the multi-overtone again. That's a pedal that we found that we both fell in love with. Into my full tone for drive, into this weird little mothership for like synthy, bit crushy, square wavy type of drive. My Strymon, what is it, the Capistan. I love this for delay. It's a nice warm tape delay with my criteria are it has to have a tap tempo and it has to have spillover. So if you have tap tempo and spillover, I like it. And then it goes into a super phaser. I have a chorus that is pretty much always on. I keep it set at nice and deep and just a very, very low rate, just to kind of add some thickness and detune to the sound and just fill it out a little bit more. I'm not running it in stereo or anything, so I'm not getting those benefits, but I still like the sound of it. Yeah, I like the sound of it. There are some people that a lot of the Humphreys McGee guitar tones has like a nice chorus effect to it, and I really like. They're my favorite band, and I like their tones, and so what would Humphreys do? That sort of deal. We got this reverb pedal here at the end of my chain. I've been going through a lot of different ones. I need to actually set this right. I've been going through a lot of different ones recently, and I landed on this one currently. I don't know if this relationship's going to work out yet, but so far I really like it. It's got a lot of weird, wild reverbs in it. I was using just a really simple one beforehand, but this allows me to get a little bit more creative. And because of the way we do things, where we are running, a click track for us, where we keep our drum tracks are pretty straightforward and whatnot. Having this wide palette of effects allows us to be a little bit more creative inside of our tightly rehearsed show. It's not like we're a jam band that's improving for hours every night. We have our set box that we know that we are well rehearsed within, and then it allows us to really step outside of that to be creative. On to the baseboard. This one is, again, really simple. Same sort of input-output situation where I have the reamp box, and actually on the end of this chain, I'm using, whoa, hello. Thanks, mate. So, instead of a DI box on the end of this chain, I'm running this JHS color box. It's a Neve channel strip emulation. Absolutely love the way it sounds, and it just gives me a little bit more tone shaping capabilities than your standard DI box, but it does have an XLR and a 1/4 inch output. I wish it had a ground lift on it. That is the one thing that's missing. JHS, if you hear this, I would love for you guys to install a ground lift in your color boxes, just because then it would truly be the Swiss Army knife of outputs. You can do everything with that. So my board here, just like my guitar board, straight into the volume pedal. I love what I can do with that, even on the bass. Tuners coming straight off of the tuner output of the volume. It goes into, first thing I go into is this Mutron. It's like an envelope filter follower type situation. I go into that before I go into my compressor, just because I want that full lively dynamic of the bass to be, activating that envelope as opposed to some sort of squashed out signal. But then I go straight into a compressor before everything else to kind of smooth out the tone a little bit. I've got one of these Origin Effects Cali 76s, and I absolutely love that. It's correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an 1176 emulation, and it's actually, this one is tailored for bass, and so I love it. I think it's great. It's a great sounding pedal. It's kept up with me on the road for years. I have no complaints there. We go through a couple other different things here. This fuzz pedal, I went through a lot of different drives and fuzzes. One of my favorites was the Moleko Assmaster or Bassmaster or Bassmaster, or I don't know what they call it, but that was a great pedal. But this one it's more of a driven Ampeg tube emulation kind of situation, and the fact that it has that fuzzy breakup, but you can bring in the round bass underneath it, it's great. Love that. A dirty robot here just for kind of weird synthy tones. I got a nice delay on here as well. Again, tap tempo, spillover. This analog chorus is one of my favorites for bass. I went through and I shot out a bunch of different ones, but this MXR analog chorus, I like that thick, wide chorus sound that you get. So same thing with Jordan's rig. I'm running most of it DI. All of my monitors and everything I hear in my in-ear monitors, that's all DI sound. But I do have my amps back here. I'm a big tone guy, but I will be completely honest. I went with this set of amps purely for aesthetic reasons. I've fallen in love with them. I love this Bassman 100 now. I love my DeVilles, but look at how badass they look. In that white Tolex, I covered them with the purple, it's like, it's nice, what a nice set. But we got this like big old live-in case, so where they put the lids on and it's ready to rock, lives in the trailer, and then once we get it on stage, there's no like big setup situation. It's just my whole rig is here, cased up, ready to go. Before you even get to some of this fun stuff over here, I did mention in-ear monitors. I'm running my own in-ear monitors. I have JHS ears. I just got set up with these. They're fantastic. I love them. They have great bass response. It's a nice seal. They're just solid ears. We are running our whole monitor system from right here. So instead, not actually here, right behind here. This giant rack situation. This is our playback. This is our monitors. This is our processing. It keeps all of the control in our hands, since it's only Jordan and I on stage, and even I guess when we were doing the live band too. It just made it really easy for me to have the monitor control. We use just the X32 iPad app, and so I keep this right here down at my feet, so I have control over it the whole show. It just makes adjustments really simple, and having the system set up like this, because all of the equipment is ours and we know it really well, it's a nice baseline for us to have. So when we get into a venue and we plug everything in, everything's supposed to sound pretty much like it did the day before. If there's a little deviation, maybe some of the knobs got bumped, but when things sound drastically different, that's when we know something's wrong. And so running our own monitors and doing it like this gives us the ability to have that baseline and have that reference point. It allows us to feel really comfortable, especially when we have to load onto a festival stage and have like 10 or 15 minutes to get set up, then we line check and go, and that's really stressful. So having this much control is really helpful. I was going to say the first tour. This is the first 2 or 3 tours that we're touring with a full redundancy system now. We did probably like 7, almost 8 years of touring with no backup, just one computer, one interface, and 2 fingers crossed. But now we have, I'll show you over here. This is the back of the playback rack. But we got the 2 show computers, A and B, and then coming back around to the front. A and B go into these Apollo 16 interfaces. And then I keep everything DB25, the big mass connectors on the back of these Apollos. Not my favorite connectors to tour with, but it's a necessary evil. But we go DB25 into the back of these radial auto switchers, and then out, where is the out? No, the output's just straight DB25 too. Huh. And then we have one set of inputs that then on the back of there splits in DB25 world, so it feeds both of these interfaces. So all 8 of our inputs are feeding to both interfaces. Both interfaces and computers are running in tandem and running out in tandem into the auto switcher. So that way, if one computer goes down, the second computer is still up and running and good to go. And if everything is set right, we don't even notice that it happens. Sometimes there's like a little click that you'll be like, huh, what? You know, you'll barely notice it, but then you'll forget that it even happened. And that was one computer crashing, dying, and, you know, going down, and the other one picking up the slack and the backup system kicking in. And it's really cool to have that happen now, because when we used to have computer glitches, the remedy for that was Jordan turning into a stand-up comedian for 5 to 10 minutes. I would hand him a backup mic and be like, hey, keep everybody busy while I, you know, try to troubleshoot things over here. So this definitely makes things a lot more comfortable. We did a couple other dorky things on this tour, like we're doing all rechargeable batteries in this rechargeable battery rack. You know, we have all of our everything built in here in drawers and stuff, just dorky stuff that I really like. Here's another one. We have all of our vocal effects hidden away. We're using these Roland VT3s to do some of our pitch shifting. So, hey, this sort of stuff, when we drop it down all low like this, that's those Roland VT3s. These are our whole wireless situation. We use the Shure ULXDs for inputs. We run it through some 500 series of studio preamps for all our vocals. So Jordan's vocal, he is using the BAE 312As. They are an API channel strip emulation, and they cut really well for his vocal. I'm personally using a Neve 511. I like that texture knob. I have it cranked. There's something about it, and I like the gain staging on there as well. The selectable steps. Something about it, I just like the way it sounds on my voice. And it's one of those things where when you find something that you're comfortable with, you don't change it. We were talking yesterday with some of the guys at the other venue. Like, Bono records all of his vocals on the SM58. The Studio Intuition says, oh no, don't use this, use the fancy expensive mic, but if it's not broke, don't fix it, you know? So up here, we have the Behringer X32 core. That's our monitor system. We have, these should be pointing up. We have our router built in back here. It's a little sloppy, but, you know, shut the door and nobody knows. Coming out to the ears with the Shure PSM 1000. I'm on ears during the show. Jordan prefers monitors, so he's not on ears. He feels like he's underwater when he's on the ears, and I completely get that. But I'm on ears, and a lot of our crew is on ears, so we do have a talkback system to where we can all talk to each other. A couple different, you know, I got a button where I can talk to just the crew, and then I got a button where I can actually talk to Jordan. It comes out, and the whole crowd can hear it too, so I save that for the really good jokes. And then kind of rounding things out, I have some digital instruments as well. I have my MPD here. This is what I'm using for transport control. So transport control within the set to navigate Ableton, start, stop things, move around, do all of our delay sends, stuff like that. And then on the other side, I have a sampler as well. I have that sampler mapped here. Same exact thing. So there have been shows where this has gone out and I've been sitting here, you know, pounding out drum parts on this. But the same thing is over here on the drums. I mentioned it before, a lot of what we do is about taking what we've done in the studio and trying to create theatrics to it, trying to create a performance that is visually appealing for people to watch, but also not boring. You know, nobody wants to sit here and watch us like do something that's really complicated and technical and hard to do, but we're not able to interact with the crowd. It's not as fun to watch me do this as it is to it's not just fun for me to play it, you know. When I'm sitting here going on these drums and pounding away, it makes it that much more exciting, that much more interactive, and it's, I mean, yeah, it's rock and roll music, but it's a show. We're putting on a show here, and that's what people want to see. That's what we want to put out there, and so a lot of the theory behind this stuff is putting it out in a place where it's very visually appealing to watch us perform these parts. Complete opposite end of the spectrum. I also like to get really dorky every once in a while, so that's why I bring my modular synthesizer out on tour with me. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. During sound check, I always goof around and I call it my modular meditation every day. I get to, you know, there are no presets here, there are no saving of things, there's no, sometimes the temperature in the room can affect the way this all acts, you know. So every day at soundcheck, I get to tame the beast a little bit. I tune this thing up, I create my sequences, and take it from there, and it's a lot of fun. It's again, I said before that we do things pretty well rehearsed, and then within that we find our ways to step outside of the box and create creative outlets for ourselves during the show. This is one of my creative outlets during the show. I absolutely love it. I got a couple of different synthesizer voices built into here. Some of them are connected to the drum pads, so it makes for a very fun, interactive synthesizer experience. I mentioned we tour with our own monitors, so all of the wedges and the sub back here and stuff like that, that's ours. We try to keep things in-house, so we even tour with our own mic stands. We just try to keep it really easy, so that way when we get into a venue, they're almost joking, laughing at us, being like, well, what do you want us to do today? And we're like, well, just hang out with us and kick it, and we'll have a good time. It allows us to breathe easy, and when we go to put on the show, we know that everything's going to be nice and dialed, and we're not going to have to worry about battling with some crazy mic stand that's, you know, people have needed to replace for years. Instead of doing that, or if we are, then it's only our fault, so we can't bitch about it. But instead of worrying about stuff like that, we're just worried about interacting with the front row and having a good time and making sure the person in the back corner of the room is having as good a time as the people in the front of the room. And, you know, touring with our own stuff like this allows us to not think about the little technical things along the way that will drive you crazy and make you have a bad show, and it might be an amazing party that you're missing. Forgot to tell you guys, these microphones we're using, quite fond of them. Sure ULXD bodies with the Telefunken M81 capsules on there. Absolutely love them. Thank you to Hunter Gifford for introducing us to these Telefunken capsules. They definitely cut. They're great. And, you know, sure might not be happy that we're swapping their capsules off of their mic bodies, but they make great mic bodies. We love you, Sure. We use your microphones all over the stage elsewhere, but these Telefunken capsules, they're where it's at for sure. I'm Jason from Cherub. We're not currently plugging a record right now. We're releasing a bunch of singles. I don't know what's coming next. We don't have any gear affiliates because, well, we like to do things our way, you know? Sometimes companies don't let you bring other companies, and we like everybody to come out and play, because sharing is caring, and lots of fun. Sharing and caring with everyone. We'll see you guys on tour soon.